Alright guys, we've got another equipment video, philosophy of use, gear review, and kind of loadout video all in one. So this one, we're talking about the Hill People gear, the large recon kit bag. So this is basically a giant fanny pack that goes on your chest instead of down by your hips. I had got this originally to support hunting. There were scenarios where I had a climber on my back, so I couldn't carry a backpack, and really couldn't carry anything on my belt. So this was the idea was, instead of just loading up my pockets, this was going to be a thing that to help me carry some stuff in field, and realized that there's a ton of utility for this, and I think this might be something like this is probably option A for a lot of martial civilians, especially if you've got an outdoorsy set of recreational pursuits, right? So Hill People Gear is not the only one that makes this. I think like 511 and a couple other companies make something like this. I think this is the most well-developed out of the kit bags, out of the chest rack style kit bags. Another company called Full Tank Tactical actually makes more of a chest rig that has some kit bag functionality. So while this is a kit bag that also does chest riggy type stuff, if you want kind of a chest rig that does kit bag type stuff, check out that Full Tank Tactical one. That one's pretty cool too. Quick note on the layout, on the design. No, I'll talk to you about how I've got it laid out, me personally. So on the front, we've obviously got some laser cut MOLLE. Okay, on the outside here, you've got a front zipper. Everything's double zippered, so you can have it oriented from one side or the other depending on what your preference is. Open this up. You've got the loop portion Velcro. That's also laser cut, so you can either Velcro stuff in or MOLLE it in. On the front side here, you've got two different pouches for organization and two different hooks for dummy cording stuff in here. In the back, you have just some Velcro loopage. Like, all this is additional stuff that I have added. Okay, but you've got the soft Velcro, so you can Velcro different types of things in here. Okay, now on the back, as it comes from the factory, you are going to get an X harness. We'll leave that open for now. You're going to get an X harness with essentially a rectangle like this of breathable mesh. Backpack goes over it real well. I added, this is a Hill People Gear branded, essentially a hydration bladder carrier for the back. That's, you can purchase that additionally. We'll talk about why I did that here in a second. But the idea here is that, like, I've got a standalone rig. I've got whatever I might need to access on my body, that I can run this independent of any other gear. Like, I don't need a belt. I don't need my waist pack. I don't necessarily even need a backpack if this is a short duration field thing. All this can support itself. So a couple of downsides to this setup. Chuck Pressberg from Press Check Consulting did a video years ago on his setup he uses for SAR, and he points out that the strap adjustment is kind of backwards to how you would want it, where you're pulling to the rear to tighten, and you can only do so much of that. Like, ideally it would be a pull to the front. So you do have to have a buddy, hey homie, tighten me up here. Also, because where those attach, they're about halfway up this pouch. Okay, you can see better here. It's about halfway up this pouch, so that this can move as you're moving. So they do sell a runner's kit that attaches essentially a bungee that goes to the bottom of your floating rib and keeps that from doing that. They sell that for like 12 or 13 bucks. I made one because I'm cheap and I had this stuff already. So this clips in, or would attach here, go around my ribs, and then clip in here, right? So if I am running with this, which is another thing that I use this for, if I go for a run or like a timed ruck in my neighborhood, I would attach that. I can put a pistol on and be armed while trying not to puke. All right, so as far as the setup goes, here, let's try this. We are learning how to YouTube together. All right, so the front, I've got some 2-cell Blue Force gear, I think they're called 10 speeds. This is a 556 two cell. I like it a lot because it's they're spandexy and they kind of fit whatever needs to be in here, so they're multifunction. A lot of times I'll put my phone here with the camera facing out and turns into a poor man's GoPro. But whatever, you know, whatever I need on the outside most accessible, which typically is almost always a phone. I might at some point get one of those kind of ATAC or ITAC style phone things at some point in here, but we'll see. We're working in that direction, I feel like. Inside here, peanut butter flavored Glock magazine typically lives in here, as well as a paint can opener for extracting broken 5.56 cases. That's handy to have. Okay. On the tie downs, I've got this light, which I thought was going to be red to preserve night vision. It is clearly not, but this is just a light to look around inside of the bag itself. On the other side, I've got kind of a cheapo compass for somebody like myself that does not land nav in any real way. That's worked fine enough for me for now. I'll probably end up needing to get one as I get better at that. Quick snacks and a Corona leftover buff in multicam in case I need to do hood rat stuff or my face just gets cold. But really it's to keep this nicotine gum quiet inside here. And then in the back, I failed to mention this is a 3-cell BFG 10 speed, only this is in 308 size. So I can hold whatever I need to hold a little bit easier than the 5.56 one's a little bit bigger. A lot of times I'll have binos and or a rangefinder in the front here. I can plus up on food, battery pack for whatever electronics that I'm running. Not necessarily all of that, not necessarily all the time. This is what lives in here as a rule, and then it's, you know, mission specific, mission used very loosely there. Something to keep in mind, you can get to the point where I have so much shit in here that it's hard to get everything in here and vice versa. So I think that there's a little bit less space than you might think upon, you know, just looking at this, because there is an overall exterior structure to this, and internally you can basically push this divider one way or the other and limit how much you're putting in each of the 2 cells. On the bottom, I failed to mention earlier, there is some PALS webbing. I've got, again, a BFG branded tourniquet holder with a old school soft T tourniquet on here. I've got a locking carabiner. Right now it's got some pig gloves on it. That's typically where they live, but this can be used for whatever you need it to be, whatever you need it to do. I've used this to attach like seat cushions as I'm going up a tree stand, so I'm not trying to juggle a rifle and what do you call it, and cushions as I'm climbing up a ladder, so this is pretty handy. And then in the back, like kind of the main party trick for this, we've got that Velcro field, and then you can attach primary thing. I think most people are going to use this for is going to be essentially a concealed holster for a fair size pistol. I have fit like a large frame like Glock 21, like 45 10mm size gun. This holster is from Vertex. It's set up right now for my EDC, so I can throw my Glock 19 analog in here. I have gone all the way up to like a 4-inch 686. Didn't love that just because the edge of the cylinder kind of rubbed my sternum, the way that this sits and kind of like conforms to your body. So I can't recommend that personally, but I'm sure some of you guys with more robust chests than me could make that work. One of the other main downsides of this setup, and probably why, if you are thinking about making a chest rig with the kind of kit bag functionalities, like why that the full tang tactical one might be a little bit better than this, is the absence of Velcro on the back here, right? So you don't have the capability to add like danglers and expander wings and stuff like that, and like you can with modern chest rigs. This design predates that whole ecosystem. So you can, like, I have an expander wing attached out here for a bow fang. The downside to this kind of setup as a chest rig is that like these zippers, right, are the only thing that's keeping this closed, right? So if I have this front part really loaded up and then I'm using this open top, and this expander wing. Now it's just this zipper, and I can see the idea that like this is going to kind of flop open, and that is no bueno. Like, can you probably fashion some type of additional secure way to secure that shut? And now you're kind of impeding the zippers. Like, probably more jank than it's worth, right? It's just something to kind of keep in mind. This expander wing is probably not how I would run a radio. I'm still playing around with that. It's in here to try out. Very likely I could see using one of these cells for Baofeng and then running back the magazines back here. Right now I got a HRT branded 3-cell 5x6 shingle. I've also got I don't know what brand, but a 2-cell 308 shingle. So between this and like my predilection for the G-Code taco style magazines, I can, with whatever I'm using, switch back and forth between 308 and 5.56 and not having to have dedicated rigs, which is to me like the only way to go at this point. If you're an AK guy and also have some other flavor of gun, some other flavor of long gun, that's a benefit to you too. Moving all the way around to the back, I've got a roly-poly from Maxpedition. I think these are like the first versions of dump pouches that do this fold up and stow away when you're not using it type of thing. Had this forever. It's way heavier than it needs to be, but I kind of like the stoutness of this fabric, considering it's kind of underneath my armpit. Might be rubbing up against stuff, so it's not a bad thing. Okay, we've got this rear panel. Okay, rear panel that is a hydration carrier. Okay, so I've got a 2-liter bladder back here. Can run that hose up over my shoulder and use that for hydration. It comes laser cut, has laser cut molly here, and then kind of a cross pattern underneath this pouch is this bungee stuff. So I can, if this wasn't here, I could use that to carry a jacket or something like that. I did add this sustainment pouch. This is just a SERP sustainment pouch. You can get these for like 10 or 20 bucks. These are pretty awesome. Have a couple of these for different things. The idea being like, if I'm not using all this stuff, this is actually not uncomfortable against my body underneath the backpack. And then if I do want to run this alone, right, I have water, I have all the stuff on my chest. I've got some additional bungee I added to the outside of this. So again, if I want to put, you know, an outer layer and attach this to the outside, I can. And then I use a dry bag inside of this. Not so much to keep everything dry. That's just kind of a additional benefit. But if I'm having to reach behind myself, open this up on my back, I can reach in, pull everything out, pull out the one little thing that I need, and then try to wrestle this in when I get the time. So the way this is set up, I've got all the stuff that I need up on my chest. I've got additional sustainment stuff, like really minimal, obviously. Like this is not a 2-day assault bag type thing. This is just some additional sustainment, right? So stuff that I've used this for, hiking with my family and wanting to have a not insubstantial pistol. This does interact basically with the rest of my gear favorably. Like this doesn't get in the way of my EDC. It works well with the pack. It works well with the Fanny pack IFAK. It works well with my war belt. So I can conceivably wear all that stuff at the same time. But I can hike with my family and have a pistol on me, have some, what do you call it, sustainment, like for the dogs, and some extra water for my family and snacks and stuff like that with no problem. I've used it for that. I've used it for hunting. I have worked some rifle stuff at the range and fed directly from this. Scouting is good if I'm, again, just like I said, just kind of hiking around or camping, or I did some post hurricane reconnaissance, for lack of a better term, in my neighborhood. I was able to take a rangefinder and some binos and not look. You know, it's not that it's concealed, is that it's not clearly overt, right? Like even hiking, I might get the occasional weird glance. But it's not like I'm running around with a TAPS kit. You know what I mean? It's not clearly a chest rig, but it does chest riggy type stuff. So if that's what you're looking for, if you want the utility of essentially a pistol and binos and some snackies and stuff like that, some sustainment, and maybe fight out of it, I think it's good for that. I don't think it's a great replacement for a chest rig, especially if you need more than a couple of magazines. But as a martial civilian, I think the situation where I need more than a couple magazines is pretty far down the list, to be honest with you. I don't have like a heavier chest rig as of right now. This kind of does all those things for me. And kind of close up the video, I think that part is important, right? Like, I don't want a bunch of different load carriage. I don't want a 308 rig and a 556 rig and a minimalist chest rack and a TAPS style chest rack and a plate carrier. I'm not saying that you can't do those things, but like for me personally, this is not my job, right? This is a hobby. But I do want to be proficient in these things. So this pack lets me do essentially all the things that I want to be able to do reasonably well, and then I get to know this pack really well. I get to know this chest pack really well. And I'm comfortable with it, right? So instead of having a bunch of different things that are optimal that I am not super comfortable with, I picked something that's pretty good at all the things that I need to be doing, that I'm good with it. So that your mileage might vary, but that's kind of my philosophy. Kind of goes to the whole beware the guy with one gun, because he probably knows how to use it. This does sustainment, or I should say load bearing equipment for me the best. Okay, so take a look at this or some of the alternatives. I personally think that the Hill People gear, like the materials and quality, is probably the best. But the other ones are kind of cheaper. Last, to kind of close this off, this is not like the cheapest bit of kit I've ever bought, like with the base back panel and just the chest rack. I want to say it's over $100, probably is over $100 by now if it wasn't before. And that's not including all the internal external pouches. So you can build that up over time as you get used to the process of what you're doing, and if that changes, you can change this around with the modularity of the system. So yeah, not super cheap, so I wanted it to do the most things possible. This is kind of a long one. I'm kind of rambling, but put some thought into it. Make sure that as you're developing kit, you want it to be modular. Your needs may change, right? As civilians, we don't have necessarily like a mission, right? So it needs to have the most utility possible, and it needs to be modular enough to evolve with what you need it to do. Okay, all right, so just put some thought into your gear, try out different stuff, hit me up in the comments. Trying to get some more engagement on the page. So if you totally disagree with me, you're wrong, but let me know. Bye.